Hi, welcome to Pamela Price Unfiltered. I'm Pamela Price, your host, and this is the place and the space for real talk. This podcast is all about raw, unfiltered conversations on law, politics, culture, education, systemic racism, and current events shaping our world. We'll go beyond the headlines to dive deep into how some of our most pressing issues impact real people, real families, and our communities. My goal is to help you navigate the complexities of today's world. Each episode will tackle an issue, breaking it down in a way that's honest, informative, and actionable. We'll hear from community leaders, activists, lawyers, healers, educators, and everyday people on the front lines of change. For those tuning in for the first time, I'm Pamela Price, a longtime attorney, political activist, and champion for justice. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel to watch the show and to my Substack to read the weekly word. Your support keeps the conversation raw and unfiltered. And you can listen to this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Welcome to the show. Let's talk about it.
We just want to be heard before a controversial vote. Sir, this is wrong, and you know it. You are a person of integrity. How could you be doing this? At least have a vote on my point of order. Sir, with all appeals to your decency, with all appeals to your integrity, with all appeals to past jurisdiction and past precedent, why are you doing this? This is outrageous.
This is a kangaroo court. That's what we have here, Mr. Chairman.
This is wrong. To violate your own rules without going by the mandates of the parliamentarian. This is unbelievable. There's a way to do this. If you want to force this through, if you want to ram this through, there's a way to do it in accordance to the rules as spelled out by the parliamentarian. It is simple. It is clear. There's a pathway to achieve what you're trying to achieve. But sir, this lacks decency. It lacks decorum. It shows that you do not want to simply hear from your colleagues. This is absolutely wrong.
Welcome to Legally Speaking. We just witnessed Senate Democrats walk out of a Senate Confirmation Committee hearing to advance the nomination of Emil Bove. July 17, 2025 marks a new low for the Republican Party and the United States Senate. Today, Senate Democrats tried to get in the way of the confirmation of Emil Bove, and they failed. Who is Emil Bove? He is the acting Deputy Attorney General who targeted for termination dozens of lawyers who prosecuted the January 6 insurrectionists, investigated FBI agents who were involved in the January 6 insurrection investigations and prosecutions, told DOJ lawyers to resist court orders that block illegal deportations, dismissed the prosecution of New York City Mayor Eric Adams for corruption in exchange for Adams' cooperation with ICE.
We have an individual here who is here seeking confirmation to one of the highest judicial offices in the land. I'm asking quite legitimate questions about potential misconduct in office, and the fact that I can't get anything resembling a straight answer in the circumstances that we're in right now, I think is signals a really bad moment for this committee.
Donald Trump's former criminal defense lawyer, who is currently Donald Trump's principal associate deputy attorney general, testified, or should we say refused to testify, at his confirmation hearing today for a federal judgeship on the Third Circuit Court of Appeals. Emil Bove was heavily involved in what a federal judge found to be an illicit deal to drop criminal charges against New York City Mayor Eric Adams in exchange for Mayor Adams' cooperation enforcing Donald Trump's immigration policy.
Did you ever talk to Stephen Miller before you filed the memorandum on February 10th ordering the dismissal of the Adams charges?
Senator, I responded to Senator Kennedy's questions based on a publicly filed document that described the Attorney General as a...
Did you talk to Stephen Miller?
I'm not going to describe the participants in conversations.
So you won't answer that question?
No, I will not, Senator.
Why?
Bove reinstated the federal death penalty and tried to force state prosecutors to prosecute people whose death penalty sentences were commuted by President Biden. He threatened to target state and local officials with civil and criminal prosecutions if they resist unlawful immigration orders. He initiated the elimination of DEI programs and policies at the DOJ, claiming that they undermine our national unity. He fired all federal contractors supporting environmental justice programs and policies. Before Bove was appointed by Trump as an acting deputy attorney general, he was Trump's personal defense lawyer, representing him in multiple felony cases. He defended Trump in his election obstruction case. He defended Trump in his classified documents case. He defended Trump in his hush money porn star case, where Trump was found guilty of 34 felony counts of falsifying business records. Bove has even refused to acknowledge that Trump lost the 2020 election. While Bove was a federal prosecutor supervising others, he was investigated for his abusive management style and temper, with a recommendation that he be demoted, which apparently led him to resign in 2021 and go into private practice. He was also complained about by defense attorneys and prosecutors for unprofessional and unethical behaviors, reporting that he seemed to be hung up on a power trip. Why should you care? Bove is obviously Trump's man on the scene, leading the most outrageous actions of the Trump administration in the short time that they have been in charge. This man right here, this one right here fits the definition of the worst of the worst. And this is only what we actually know about what he did. So why should you care? There are suggestions that Trump is grooming Bove for a seat on the United States Supreme Court, the same way that Amy Coney Barrett was groomed for her seat. Barrett went from teaching at a law school to the Court of Appeals and then the Supreme Court. Her time in actual practice of law is a whole 3 years. Under Trump, 3 years on the bench, and you're ready to go to the Supreme Court. Both this Court of Appeals appointment and the Supreme Court appointment are for life. Only over 72 former judges wrote a letter opposing Bove's nomination to the bench. Mr. Bove's egregious record of mistreating law enforcement officers, abusing power, and disregarding the law itself disqualifies him for this position. What triggered Senate Democrats to walk out was the Senate's refusal to allow testimony from a whistleblower about Bove's directives on immigration. According to DOJ attorney Erez Ravini, a veteran 15-year litigator in the DOJ Office of Immigration, Bove said at a meeting, the government would need to consider telling the courts F you and ignore any such court order. Ravini was the former acting deputy director of the DOJ's Office of Immigration Litigation and was overseeing the government's efforts to send migrants to El Salvador under Trump's dangerous executive order invoking the Alien Enemies Act. It seems likely that Ravini was trying to comply with the court's initial orders blocking the illegal deportations. Of course, Ravini has been terminated by Trump and his minions, including Bove, Attorney General Pam Bondi, and Bove's former boss and mentor Todd Blanche. Blanche is another a defense attorney now installed at the DOJ as the Deputy Attorney General. July 17th marks the 5-year anniversary of the passing of civil rights icon John Lewis, who commanded all of us to make good trouble and get in the way. It will be hard to get in the way of Emil Bove and Donald Trump if the Senate confirms this MAGA man to the federal bench for life. This is one of the main reasons why elections matter. Welcome to Correct the Record. Do you remember when I charged longtime Oakland Police Detective, Homicide Detective Phong Tran with perjury and bribery? That was April of 2023. I told you then that Tran's misconduct impacted at least 200 cases in our office. Lying and manipulating a witness are serious violations of the public trust and a threat to the integrity of the judicial system. Detective Tran will be held accountable. The confidential informant later stated that she did not actually witness the murder. Detective Tran lied about his connection to the witness and the payments to her under oath.
The two men she ID'd in Butler's killing were convicted and sentenced to life. They spent 10 years behind bars before being released.
I felt that Tran was a predator in a way. He preyed on my father and my mother's sadness.
Ann Butler is the victim's sister.
To find out that this was going on behind the scenes, it's hurtful, and I felt that they have been taken advantage of.
What I couldn't tell you then was how Tran's misconduct is at the heart of a massive corruption scandal inside the Alameda County criminal justice system. Detective Tran was a golden boy inside of OPD. In 2021, he earned almost $428,000 in 1 year, which included almost $150,000 in overtime pay. Detective Tran was a source of information for the media and featured in media interviews. In June of 2025, however, the new district attorney's office admitted that a murder conviction in the case of Stephen Buggs was tainted by Tran's witness tampering of a key witness. Mr. Buggs was convicted in 2016 of murdering Lester Young more than a decade ago in 2012. It is also alleged that the district attorney's office was aware of Detective Tran's misconduct and convicted Mr. Buggs anyway based on tainted evidence. In May, the Court of Appeal granted a writ of habeas corpus in the case of Marcel Prince and issued an order to show cause to the Alameda County Superior Court. That's because late last year, the California Attorney General conceded in the Prince case that the prosecution team that tried the case in 2022 under DA O'Malley suppressed the evidence of Tran's misconduct in order to get a conviction. Mr. Prince was convicted in 2022 in Alameda County Superior Court in Judge Thomas Reardon's courtroom. His conviction has not been overturned yet, but he may also be entitled to a new trial. What the Court of Appeal did say is that Judge Thomas Reardon used 2 illegal enhancements and added them to the sentence: a great bodily injury enhancement on the murder charge and a gun use enhancement on another charge of shooting into an occupied vehicle. Both Judge Reardon and the prosecutor knew or should have known that these enhancements were illegal, but they did it anyway. So who is this Judge Reardon? He was appointed by Pete Wilson. He had about 10 years experience practicing law before he became a judge. Most of it, 6 years, was in the DA's office. He ran unopposed for his seat in 2024, and he will serve us until 2031 unless we're able to recall him. Full disclosure, most of Judge Reardon's experience as a judge has been in probate court, where probate advocates have complained bitterly about his rulings. Before I became the DA, I also personally experienced Judge Reardon's incompetence in a probate matter. After I became the DA, Judge Reardon attacked my prosecutorial discretion multiple times in rulings from the bench, creating new and unheard of standards for review of our prosecutorial decisions. The point is, too often, Alameda County judges have been complicit in the prosecutorial misconduct in sentencing and getting a conviction. So what is Tran's defense to all of this? Well, his attorney claims that Tran's prosecution is some type of political playbook and that I was waging a war against Tran and our community. That is such a ridiculous claim. It might play well in the media, but no jury looking at the compelling evidence of Tran's misconduct is going to believe it. His attorney didn't say that when Nancy O'Malley was the DA. The convictions tainted by Tran's misconduct started unraveling in 2022, before I was elected. Nancy O'Malley overturned the convictions of Giovante Douglas and Cartier Hunter in 2022. They were convicted in 2016, just like Mr. Buggs, for the murder of Charles Butler. The DA's concession of unconstitutionality of that conviction has set the stage for a major lawsuit by Mr. Douglas and Mr. Hunter against Tran and the city of Oakland.
The two men who have filed their federal civil rights lawsuit against the city of Oakland after spending nearly a decade in prison for a crime they did not commit. KTVU's Greg Lee joins us now here in studio with the story. Greg?
Yeah, Mike, their attorneys say that no amount of money can compensate for the years two innocent men spent behind bars, the years they missed with their children and families. They're now trying to piece their lives back together. Cartier Hunter, I'm going to show you this video on the left, and Giovante Douglas were convicted and sentenced to life in prison in 2016 for the murder of a man after a traffic altercation in Oakland. Years later, the chief witness in the case admitted that she was paid as much as $30,000 to lie on the witness stand at the urging of Oakland Police Homicide Detective Phong Tran. Tran pleaded not guilty in April to felony, perjury, bribery of a witness, and other charges.
Two men who were robbed of close to a decade of their life, in the prime of their life, due to the unlawful, illegal, despicable, and criminal conduct of an Oakland police officer.
Now, the two men declined to speak on the steps of the same Alameda County courthouse where they were convicted. But emotion was clear on the face of Giovante Douglas as his lawyer described the ordeal suffered by the two men and their families.
As you can see from Mr. Douglas, this is not just a lawsuit that's written on a piece of paper. This was his life. This is the proof, the evidence, the carnage that Officer Tran caused these young men to have to suffer through the torture of being criminally prosecuted, convicted, labeled a murderer, all supported by lies.
Douglas, who is now 31, was released in September 2022. Hunter, who is 34, was released in February of this year. Attorneys say along with compensation, they are hoping for systemic reform of the justice system.
Oakland residents should be very concerned about this case. In Chicago last year, a defendant unlawfully convicted as a result of police misconduct, his name is Marcel Brown, he was awarded $50 million.
A Chicago man made history when he received a $50 million verdict against the city of Chicago earlier this month. Marcel Brown was 18 years old when he was convicted of first-degree murder in 2008. He was exonerated 10 years later. He sued the city over his wrongful conviction. Rather than the case settling, a federal jury awarded him this record-setting amount. Here to talk more about his story are exoneree Marcel Brown and John Lovey, attorney and founding partner of the civil rights law firm Lovey & Lovey. Thanks to you both for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Are congratulations in order? Do you say congrats for an award like this, Marcel? When you learned about the jury's decision, what was your reaction? What did it mean to you?
I was crying, so when I learned about it, I thought they said 14 million until my attorney told me it was 50 million, so I was shocked.
So you misheard it. I mean, you were crying over the 14 million, and then you learned that it was even more than that.
Yes.
A lot more.
Yes.
What did it mean to you?
It meant everything to me because it was like really the first sign of me getting justice for everything I went through.
And that's not the end of the story. Tran's criminal misconduct and the alleged efforts by OPD brass to cover it up may well be the reason Judge William Orrick places Oakland Police Department into a full-blown receivership. Last year, Oakland Community Police Review Agency found 8 officers, including 2 commanders and 2 police chiefs, LaRon Armstrong and Darren Allison, were responsible for a range of violations that allowed Tran to return to work despite the bribery and perjury allegations. 3 line officers were found to have obstructed the internal affairs case investigating the allegations against Tran, preferential treatment, and possibly illegal conduct. So stay tuned to Pamela Price Unfiltered to see how the fallout from this saga of police misconduct and the alleged cover-up will turn out. For now, I just wanted to correct the record. Thank you for tuning in to Pamela Price Unfiltered. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And please subscribe as a founding member or a paid subscriber to my Substack newsletter to read the weekly word. Your support keeps the conversation raw and unfiltered. And you can listen to this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. I don't know that